Hello and welcome back to my weekly trade recap series. So this week we're going to be going over the prior trading week, which was for Monday the 8th of December 2025, or the week starting Monday the 8th. Apologies for the slot hiatus. The week prior to that I was traveling in Barcelona, so never managed to log all the trades and pop them on YouTube. So but going to go over this week. This week was a very positive week for me. It was plus 11R. I only managed to actually live trade 6R of that, just because on Thursday I was traveling and unfortunately wasn't able to get to the chart, so I missed out on 5R, but still cannot complain with plus 6R on the week. It was a pretty busy week. I think we took 9 trades overall, which for me is quite a lot. So usually it tends to be more along the lines of 3 to 4. However, setups occurred this week and everything fit my rules, so I had to take it. So without further ado, we'll kick things off with the first trade that I took during the week, which was actually a nice win. So this trade was on silver on Tuesday the 9th of December. So coming into this session, silver's been extremely bullish. This, if you go to the daily time frame, or even the weekly time frame, this kind of level was a level of resistance from a very long time ago. What's that, 2011? Price would have played around there for a while, and then we can see we've got this massive explosion higher on this week here, and then from then on, so we've kind of been very bullish. So we can see all the EMAs are sloping upwards. We've had some nice reaccumulation here, and then price has, like I said, broken through since then, and we've been kind of looking for longs ever since then. So if we go to the hourly time frame coming into this session, we had a big push up prior, and then we've had this kind of big long stretch of price moving sideways here, and we can kind of see that we've managed to push higher outside of this reaccumulation. We've had price come above all the moving EMAs and make a big strong push higher. So coming into the session after this, especially after this candle was put in here, very happy to look for longs. So if we go to the 15-minute, we've had, this was obviously that push higher in the 1 hour. As we can see, we've had push up, pause into the EMAs, and again push higher. So I'm basically looking for continuation plays from this. We dropped down to the 1 minute. Obviously, we can see pause, push higher, and then we've been paused again into the EMAs. So if I can look for an inverse fair value gap setup, that is exactly what I'm looking for. And as we can see, there is a nice fair value gap right here, which cannot get it. There we go. Gets inversed very nicely here on this candle. This obviously is my break-even point, as you've seen from previous videos. And if we play this out, had a massive push higher actually on this trade, and this trade played about for a while. But obviously, because my break-even is down here, actually never got tapped. And if we continue playing, this was a bit of a rough trade to watch. I just kind of sat back and just did a few other bits and pieces while watching this trade play out. But eventually we did hit TP, and that was a nice way to start the week for a nice plus 3R. So that is Tuesday's day done. Okay, so moving on to the second trade, which was on US 30. This was the very busy day, Thursday, which was the day that I was actually traveling, and ended up taking 7 trades on Thursday, which all fit my rules. So it wasn't a case of over trading or anything like that. It was purely just, or it would have been just me following my rules. But on this day, I never actually took any of these trades live, just because, like I said, I was traveling, couldn't get to the laptop, unfortunately. So this was all looked at Thursday evening, and these are all trades that I definitely would have taken, all fit my rules, so we can go into them. So this one again here was first US 30. Just looking at this straight off the bat, we've had these pushes higher. We've had this sort of reaccumulation here. These were the highs that I wanted to be. These are all-time highs on US 30. We can kind of see that we've pushed up quite aggressively into this sort of range. And so if we pushed up aggressively into this, most likelihood is we're going to take these highs. And that's exactly what we did. So on the 1 hour, all EMAs are sloping upwards, which is nice. That's exactly what I look for. Dropping down to the 15-minute, we actually had a push up above the EMAs on market open. Then we came back down, and we had a nice reaction off of them again. So this was a green light for me to go down to the 1 minute and have a look. So if we have a look here, notice price, we formed the fair value gap downwards, But also notice how price has paused just beneath this high. We saw from before this high is also just beneath all-time highs as well. And so in these occasions when we're obviously extremely bullish and we know we have liquidity resting above these highs and we have major liquidity resting at all-time highs, if this setup is nice, which it was, this is a very, very clean setup for me to take. So if we press play, we get the fair value gap that's clearly been inversed. Nice displacement through the gap. Very nice action along the EMAs, and this was a great long to take. So if we play this out, we get big pushes higher. I think this is actually when the all-time highs were taken, so obviously a bit of profit taking and then pushing higher again. So if we play this out, eventually this hits a nice 1 to 3, which, yep, there we go. Obviously, as I said, didn't actually take this trade just because I was traveling, but nonetheless, this was a very, very clean trade, fit all my rules, and I definitely would have taken this if I was at the charts. So moving on to trade number 3, which would have been on gold. Again, this is on that Thursday that I was not actually live at the charts. So you can see here on the 1 hour, we've obviously pushed up, and we've had this kind of, you know, reaccumulation, whatever this is, and kind of these are the all-time highs. So my assumption is, you know, given that we've pushed up, created all this downward momentum, and then we've kind of slowly been building back up, my target on the long term would be the all-time highs. So on the 1 hour coming into the session, we're actually above all the EMAs. If you look closely as well on this downward push, the EMAs never actually crossed. They're beginning to slow back upwards as well, which is quite nice. So obviously above the 50, had some nice reactions of this, and so I was happy to look for longs in this scenario. So dropping down to the 15 minute, just before market open, and on market open we can see we pushed up higher, paused just beneath these highs, which is obviously very interesting. My thought process is these highs would be taken given the fact that we're bullish, and we paused just beneath them. You know, that's a nice little target for us. And so yeah, we've obviously had a push higher, push back down with the EMAs, and then we've had a nice reaction off of them, and so I'm happy to look for longs. Now this trade actually ended up being a break even, so this was the fair value gap here that we created on the downwards move. So obviously you've got that 3 candle setup to make the fair value gap. We also actually had a fair value gap right here as well. But on these plays, I don't like to, I would never take, if this fair value gap was inversed and we pushed up into this fair value gap, I would never take a long here, just because we could be respecting this fair value gap and we would potentially make a push lower. However, in this scenario, obviously you can see that we inversed both these fair value gaps, hence I took the long. So if we play price out, we get a really, really nice push here, and straight away, pretty much a very quick break-even trade. If we play price out, it actually did up pushing higher, and this was that high that I wanted to get taken, which did get taken. Just a bit of an unfortunate trade. Very happy that I broke even here and sort of respected my rules. You know, straight away, it was a very fast trade. It would have been a very fast trade, but part of my system is a quick break even. It keeps me profitable. My break-even rate is around 55%, I believe. So it kind of is the difference between me being profitable and unprofitable, though. So I like having a high break-even rate. It's good for my system. So yep, that was trade number 3, and we'll move on to the next one. So moving on to the next few trades. This was actually on silver. Again, Thursday, the day that I didn't, the day that I wasn't actually live on my account. But Thursday was a very, very, very busy day. It would have been a very busy day for me anyway. But obviously, silver, as we can see, I explained before, we did take a win. I think it was on Tuesday that I mentioned, just through this price action here. But obviously, silver's very bullish, looking for longs. You know, this price action here looks really, really nice. We've had a push up above the EMAs, and then we've had a push downwards back into them, but still sloping upwards, and we can see that price is slowly reaccumulating here and then pushing away with strength. So this is a great market to look for longs and to drop lower. On the 15-minute market open, we've pushed up higher. We actually took out these highs here, but we've had a drop down with the EMAs and then a strong push forward. So I was still happy for continuations. my setup is a continuation setup. So I'm basically looking for momentum. Obviously, other contextual clues in the market as well is very helpful. But I'm essentially looking for, price to continue making legs higher or lower in whichever direction I'm going, and to capitalize on that. So yeah, obviously on the 15 minute, again, like I mentioned, we had the push down into the EMAs and the push higher, so we can drop down. Looking at the 1 minute, we can see that the fair value gap created was here. Again, very nice. EMAs all sloping upwards. If we get a nice push higher here, which we do, clear displacement above the fair value gap. This is great to look for longs. Break even at this high. Very nice break even, strong break even. And this would have been a very rapid win. So, yep, that was the third or fourth trade would have been for that week, which was a nice plus 3R. Very clean trade. I would have taken it 100% if I was at the charts. So moving on to the next two trades on silver, I thought I'd just go over them both at the same time. So if we look again on the 1 hour, very, very bullish, very happy to look for longs. Everything is looking like we're going to continue higher. Again, on the 15 minute, we're just making steps higher, which is really good to see. So I'm very happy to step lower. A side note for myself on this last trade up here, which ended up being a loss. Just looking at this market here, we obviously had these big strong candles down here, which is great to see. Again, this candle here, but just a note to self, I guess, the candles up here, price is already overextended. We're very far away from the EMAs, very far away from the 50. We haven't touched the 10 EMA for a while, and the candles are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Hence, volume is probably decreasing, and so up here, could I've potentially the market's overextended? Yes, probably due a pullback. And I think if I play the next candle, we did get that pullback, and so potentially this trade up here, which ended up being a loss. Looking back, obviously I didn't actually take the trade. It was Thursday, but would I have taken this trade? Unsure. Just because I thought I'd put it in my data because it does fit my rules, but contextually, just this price action here is not amazing, considering we're so far away from the EMAs and we're also later on into the session. But nonetheless, if we look on the 1 minute, we can see had a nice fair value gap right here, which was inversed very, very nicely by this candle just here. Really strong candle, and straight away would have been a break even. And again, up here, the fair value gap was just here. Again, this actually had a really strong inverse on this candle just here, the 1835 candle, but ended up being a loss. And yeah, price was kind of wicky up here, and like I said, this price action here, the EMAs aren't too far away from each other. I am going to log this in my data just because I'm unsure whether I would have taken it or not. But this is not an A+ setup as opposed to this trade here or the trade previous, which was down here. So that's my little note to self for this kind of action here. And the last two final trades, which were on EU futures, so Euro futures. Again, these two trades were absolutely beautiful, really, really nice. 100% would have taken them. A+ setups. So, looking at the 1 hour, we've had a push higher above this sort of chop action here. Very nice candle, so pushed higher, broken structure, come back into the rising EMAs, and we've pushed away with it with strength. So coming into the New York session, this is really, really awesome to see. Very happy to look for continuation plays and for longs. So dropping down to the 15 minute. Again, we've had this push higher, which we saw on the 1 hour, and we've made it back into the EMAs and had a strong push higher. These kind of candles are really awesome to see. Its prices come back into the EMA, liquidate the lower 15 minute. Whatever happens in here in the lower time frame is some sort of reaccumulation for pushes higher, to target these highs up here. That's kind of the play that I was looking for before dropping down lower. So if we do drop down lower, we can see, notice again, in these scenarios where I think it was on US 30, the same thing happened. If we're very confident in the direction that we're going, we're seeing signs on a higher time frame that these highs are going to be taken, price will often pause just before these highs. I love these types of setups. They always tend to work really well for me. This one was a break even. Nonetheless, break evens are good trades. But this kind of setup is absolutely awesome. I was very, very bullish Very happy with my conviction on this trade. I was pretty certain this high was going to get taken, and like I said, given that price had paused just beneath this high, if we push higher really strongly here, if this guy high gets taken, likelihood is this high is also going to get taken. And so if we press play, we get a nice displacement through the fair value gap, inversing it. If we play this out, lovely. Both highs get taken. Lovely, clean, break-even trade. And if we carry on, another setup occurs here. So having a look here, we have a fair value gap just here. We get really, really nice displacement through the fair value gap. And again, this would have been my break-even point for this trade. If we play this out, we hit break-even pretty quick. But as you can see, we got price, the direction of price, pretty spot on. We were very bullish, expecting price to continue higher, which it did. And these would have played out to be, 1 to 3s, which is what I look for. I'm not sure if this one would have been 1 to 3. Maybe if we play it out. No, that wouldn't have been 1 to 3. But this trade obviously would have been 1 to 3. But like I said before, we don't always catch all the moves. Break evens are just a part of the game, and it just gives me more confidence that I did get the correct direction. Which is a plus from the session, even though these didn't work out. These were still very ideal trades. So yeah, that left me off the week on. Oh, actually, wait. Forgive me, there is one more trade to go over. Okay, so the final trade of the week was a Nasdaq short. So this was Friday session, so Friday the 12th of December. Coming into the session, I was really not sure where we were going to go. We were stuck in this chop here, and I wasn't really expecting to take any setups. Like I said, I don't trade these markets where it's super choppy. I think it doesn't really work with my strategy, given that I'm a continuation trader. So yeah, wasn't really looking for anything in this session. But for rules for shorts, I do need the 1 hour to be underneath the 50 EMA, and if I drop down to the 50-minute, we've got some extreme momentum downwards. So we can see we have market open, we push lower, push back onto the EMAs, and we're met with extreme momentum lower. And so given that this has happened, I did think that these lows just here were going to get taken. If we've been in chop like this, and we push really low, and we've been in it for a while. It's not like we've just been in it for a little bit. We've been in it for a while, and we push really aggressively down like this. Likelihood is these lows may get taken. Obviously that didn't actually happen here on this day, but if you look at the EMAs on these days, we were actually already underneath the 50, and we were making structure downwards. If we look at this, we'd actually be making structure higher, and we just had a big flash crash down, and then it was brought up. This is a lot better, just purely because we've already had structure being made to the downside, and we've already had pushes beneath the EMAs, and we've kind of come back to test them, and then we get the push lower. Hence why I was happy to look for shorts on this day, not on this day though. And so, yeah, this candle was put in. If we have a look to the 1 minute time frame, we can see that a fair value gap was created here. This was really, really nice trade. This is a lovely candle to see. We took out these highs of this candle, and then were met with really strong momentum downwards. And so I was very happy to take short positions here, targeting 1 to 3s, but also these lows here would be cool. So again, break-even point for me, this low just here. If we play price out, it was a pretty nice quick trade. Yeah, very, very nice way to end the week on a Friday. This was a really, really clean trade. Very, very happy with this. And so yeah, this was my week for Monday the 8th of December 2025, or starting the Monday. We had a really good week. It was, like I said, plus 11R, plus 6R for me actually traded. So yeah, really, really happy with my performance the past week. Really stuck to my rules really well, and it shows in the results. So my equity curve is slowly going upwards, and hopefully soon to be making a payout from my account, which would be really, really cool to see. Haven't had a payout before, and so yeah, that'll be a really big milestone in my journey as a trader. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, hope you guys learned something, and stay tuned for the trade recap for next weekend.